Wonderful. Well, it is 7:05. How about we begin for the evening? So glad you're all here. My name is Teresa Lockamy, and I'm a member of the TESCA consultant team. We are so grateful that you carved out some time this evening to join us in our virtual community open house this evening. Thank you so much. We have learned how to pivot in the past 15 months or so as we began this comprehensive planning effort in the spring of 2020. We learned quickly how valuable Zoom was for us. And so we're grateful tonight that in light of forecasted thunderstorms, we could turn to Zoom once again to have the opportunity to gather together. You'll see on your screen a couple of Zoom tips. Please mute your microphone for the first part of the meeting. You're welcome to use the chat room feature to post your questions while others are speaking. And should you be so inclined, we're grateful if you leave your video on so others can see you and you can be seen. If you have any questions, please call or email Ben at the number and the email address listed here on the slide.
Ms. Lockamy, this is Mortado, the Spanish interpreter. Should I make the announcement of interpretation before you go too far?
Yes, please.
Yes, I'll do that. Thank you. It's nice seeing you again. Muy buenas noches, buenas tardes para todos y todas. Bienvenidos a esta reunión. Queremos comentarles que se está haciendo un esfuerzo importante para ofrecer interpretación y para crear un espacio bilingüe. Entonces, para las personas que quieren participar, pueden ir a la parte inferior de la pantalla y elegir en el mundo interpretación, español y si desean pueden silenciar el audio. For those of you who are participating, the organizer of this meeting are trying to make this meeting as inclusive as possible. Therefore, this is a bilingual space in Spanish and English, and the way we can participate best is by selecting a language at the bottom of the screen. So if you are connecting from a computer, you'll see a little globe that says English, and if you click in there, and if you're not connecting from a computer, but you're connecting from a smartphone, you can click on the 3 dots and select the language and then press done to participate in English. For those who are bilingual, we request that you don't have to select the language, but make sure that you only speak in one language per sentence. That's all for me. Back to you. Thank you for giving me the time to make the invitation for the language space.
Thank you so much. As I alluded to, it's been about 15 months of work to create the document that we're going to talk about this evening. We've created a draft comprehensive plan for your review, and we've used a variety of tools to reach out to all of Carrboro. And the plan is based on outreach conducted since we started this effort in spring of 2020. And it's been led by the Carrboro Connects Task Force, which is a wonderful group of individuals assembled early on to serve as the eyes and the ears and as community leaders to help us frame a truly comprehensive document. So tonight, we're glad to come together once again to explore the future of Carrboro. So let me just very quickly preview what tonight's virtual open house is going to be. We're scheduled from 7 to 8:30, and we invite you to stay with us for the entire meeting. Again, I'll remind you, you're welcome to post your comments or questions in the chat. We'll do our best to follow up with those quick and in a hurry. Our meeting is going to start with a couple of very brief presentations about the community engagement work that's been done so far, and providing you with a big picture kind of overview of the contents of the draft comprehensive plan. After these presentations, we're going to move to the most important part of tonight's meeting, and that is hearing from you. We're going to break into small groups to share ideas about different elements of the plan. We want you to explore the ideas that you want to make sure are addressed in the plan, how those ideas will advance race and equity and climate action goals, and what you feel can make the greatest impact to make Carrboro a more accessible community for all. And we'll conclude our meeting with a review of the next steps in the comprehensive planning process. So to kick us off, I'm going to hand the baton to Trish McGuire, who is the planning director for the town of Carrboro. Trish.
Thank you so much, Teresa. I'm so glad to be joining Teresa and all of our other colleagues in welcoming you all to this virtual open house this evening. Teresa is part of our very capable team of consultants, and a number of whom are here tonight and will be leading our breakout sessions. So I know you will learn a little bit more about them and they about you when we get to that step. I'm going to just start off by appreciating the participation of, I believe, everyone or almost everyone from the Town Council of Carrboro and our mayor who are here this evening. We're really thrilled, and I know you guys can wave your hands for everybody to see you quickly. So thank you so much for being here. I also want to give a really special welcome to Richard J. White III, who is Carrboro's new town manager. Today marks Richard's almost 1 month anniversary since he restarted with the town actually, and we are really glad to have him rejoining the town administration in this role, and tonight especially for joining us by becoming part of Carrboro Connects. And Richard was going to maybe say a few words to us.
Well, thank you, Trish, for that very warm welcome. And I must say that's been my experience this past month, the very warm welcome I've received being back in Carrboro. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be here. And I also want to express appreciation as well to you all. On a cool, rainy Wednesday evening, you know, Carrboro is a great community, and it has a very long tradition of very careful and thoughtful planning. And we are the beneficiaries of those who came before us for this great community that we enjoy today. And so tonight it's our turn, that we're not just planning for each other and for those of us who are here now, but for those who come many years after us. And so I'm so grateful for you all to be here tonight, to be as part of this planning process, and thankful to the Carrboro Task Force and Trish and the planning staff, and Tesca and the CNT staff as well, for all the work they've done to get us this far, and looking forward to the evening. So thank you very much, Trish, for welcoming me. Appreciate that.
It's really our pleasure, Richard. You know that so much. We can't say enough about how happy we are to have you here. So I do want to also mention, Teresa did mention for a moment, and Richard as well, our task force members. And if all of you could wave too, so that our other participants tonight will be able to see who you are. I know they'll also get to hear maybe a little bit more about you in the breakouts. We're so pleased to have been working with you since our first meeting last September, but really the interviews we did over the summer a year ago. So great to get to know you and to learn about your values and interests and experiences. Just a few more remarks from me. I said this to the council last night, but I want to say it again tonight. On March 7th, 2020, just days before Governor Cooper declared a COVID-19 emergency, the Carrboro Town Council directed the town manager to move forward with this comprehensive planning effort. This was a long time coming for the town, and a really big project, which we did not want to put on hold, but there were other reasons for really wanting to proceed. I know you all vividly remember the days following that announcement and everything that was happening then. Traffic literally disappeared on our downtown streets. It's just still a really strong picture in my mind, and I probably will never forget. Stores emptied and toilet paper became the most highly sought commodity. Can anything be a better reminder of the need for long-range planning? Obviously, I'm being lighthearted here, but it's much more serious than that. Last week, I was reminded how 20 years ago, the town's new vision for downtown Carrboro community charrette coincided with the terrorist attacks for 9/11. I recall the decision that was made that week to proceed with the planning and hold the event, and also the commitment and passion and spirit and vision that we heard and felt from everyone who participated in that event and everything that followed. So as occurred in 2001, and Murtado, forgive me if I'm talking, I'll slow down. In 2001 and this year, these planning processes really have given us the occasion to consider how life is now and the unimaginable uncertainty that we can face and decide how we want it to be in the future. So in the months since we started, we've made great progress. We have many steps to go. And this evening's meeting is one of those really important steps. So thanks to all of you for being here. And with that, I get to turn it back over to Teresa to talk about what we're going to do next. Thank you all.
Thank you, Trish. I just want to highlight the two foundational elements of this plan before we go any further. They are race and equity and climate action. And let me just very quickly speak to those. If we can show that slide on the screen that provides the vision statement for race and equity. Wonderful, thank you so much. You'll see the vision statement has a couple of sentences there, but I want to highlight that very first sentence, which says the town of Carrboro envisions being a community where race does not determine outcomes and all have equitable opportunities and resources. And the statement goes on to explain why that's important and how we want to do that. But if I can take just a moment to highlight some of the things that have been done in preparation, let me phrase that differently. How this vision has been given legs as it relates to this comprehensive plan. Some of the actions that have taken place already, all of the town staff participated in some training that was provided by the Government Alliance on Race and Equity. And they have a particular model that's particularly impressive. Sometimes you're going to hear the Government Alliance on Race and Equity referred to by their acronym, which is GARE. They are a national network of government entities that are working to achieve racial equity and advance opportunities for all. So all town employees were trained in this process. And once they got trained, they then offered that training to members of the task force of the comprehensive plan. And we did that very intentionally to give everybody a common lens to ensure that the comprehensive plan really did advance the town's vision for race and equity. And if I can, just a quick aside, I want to take a moment to mention that Orange County is leading a county-wide effort to bring all local jurisdictions together to create the One Orange Racial Equity Plan. And similar to the draft comprehensive plan that we're going to be digesting tonight, they have also recently released a draft plan and are really seeking community input. So Ben is going to put a link to the One Orange plan in the chat so that you can check that out after our meeting, because I've been made aware that they happen to be meeting at the same time we are. So you're welcome to copy that link so you can take a look at it later. Now back to that second foundational item. The second and equally important foundation is built on the town's leading effort to take action in the arena of climate change. Key components of the recently updated Community Climate Action Plan and Energy and Climate Action Plan include goals to reduce greenhouse gas emissions by both the town and the community by 80% from 2010 levels by the year 2030. So with that foundation built, I'm going to pass the baton to Francie Salinger, another member of the TESCA team, to talk a little bit about some engagement strategies that have been used so far in the process?
Thanks so much, Teresa. So good to see everyone here tonight. I'll just briefly go over the whole menu of techniques that we've been using to engage with the community from the start of this process. We've obviously been working within the confines of the pandemic and weather and all those things that are causing us to be virtual again tonight. But we have still tried as many ways as possible to reach people in a variety of ways. So that's included in-person pop-up events, which we had in June, and it was great to meet some of you there. We had 7 task force meetings, 2 highly interactive online community workshops. Tonight is now our 3rd, even though we plan to do it in person. We had over 60 stakeholder interviews, a website that has been viewed now over 4,500 times, and 2 Facebook Live events, which I'll speak to more in a minute. And to get the word out about all of these different opportunities, we have done press releases and social media posts, email blasts, a townwide postcard mailing, communication with nonprofits and neighborhood groups, posts at the town information centers and neighborhoods, radio ads, branded t-shirts, banners hung around town, handouts at food distribution events and gatherings, and more, just to give you some of the ways that we have been trying to connect with everyone. And each time we interact with someone and get their participation, we are calling that a touch point. And we're estimating that there's been at least 3,500 touch points or total instances of engagement thus far in our process. And then when we think about the total number of individuals, so that would be like counting the same person across all the interactions, we've reached over 1,300 people. So those are really great numbers, and we are so grateful to everyone who's participated thus far. But we want those numbers to grow, obviously, in the remainder of the process, especially for those who haven't made their voice heard yet. So thanks again for being here. Would now be a good time to put up the poll, Ben, in light of wanting to understand who we're hearing from, and moving forward from there. If you could all just tell us a bit about yourself with this poll that hopefully appeared on your screen. So while folks answer that, I'll just continue a little bit. At every stage, we have tried to reach and be representative of all Carrboro, and that includes our diverse task force that you've heard about, those members who have been serving as ambassadors for the plan. Our workshops and all the materials have been bilingual and in some cases trilingual. We held those 2 Facebook Live events, one with El Centro and another with the Refugee Community Partnership to reach the community from Burma. So those were really excellent events. Thanks to everyone participating in this poll. And then our pop-up events in June were intentionally held across town in 5 different locations to reach as many folks as possible. So those were at Carrboro Plaza, Rogers Road, South Green, the Farmers Market, and MLK Junior Park. And all of these different forms of interactions have been recorded and documented, and that's what we've been analyzing in order to, all of this input is directly informed the draft strategies and projects that you're all going to hear about tonight. Thanks.
Thank you, Francie. I'm Scott Goldstein. I've just had the pleasure to work with all of you for the last 1.5 years, and it's good to see there's some new folks here tonight. And so this is a pivotal point, a great time to join in. And just wanted to let you know, most of you probably got to this meeting through the CarrboroConnects.org website. That is where the draft plan is posted. You can get to it from the landing page to the draft plan. So we want to hear your remarks tonight, but we do want to encourage you to let people know that the draft plan is out there. You can make comments directly from the website. You can also contact Ben and Trish at the office, and they'll be happy to answer questions about this. This is very much a preliminary draft. There will be future drafts. This is really, if you think about it, a restart of the process to get all the information we heard from all of you into a draft, and we certainly want to get your input as it shapes and goes through various processes over the next 6 months. I'm just going to briefly let you know the elements of the plan. We really want to save most of the time to hear from you. So I'm going to just give a very high level introduction to the issues. If you're new to this, affordable housing is really key to the town of Carrboro for a number of reasons. Number one, to serve the existing residents who live in Carrboro, make sure that they're not being priced out, whether they live in an apartment or home, have been here for generations, or are new to the community, or students going to UNC, and faculty and staff. And so employees of Carrboro may not be able to afford to live here, might be working in a restaurant or store. We've heard really loudly from the community that you'd like to be welcoming community, and affordable housing is part of that quality. Affordable housing, different types of housing for different types of households. Economic sustainability is quite different in Carrboro than most communities. It's really focused on supporting locally owned businesses, BIPOC owned, and employees. There's not a lot of area of Carrboro that's commercial. It's a very small percent. So part of this is to look of ways to bring more jobs into Carrboro. That also reduces traffic congestion if everyone doesn't have to leave to drive somewhere else, to Durham, to Raleigh, et cetera, if we have more jobs in the community. And particularly, I think the town's done a great job in the last year to a year and a half reaching out, because it's been a very difficult time for a lot of small businesses and BIPOC-owned businesses, and really making sure they have the services that they need to do well in the community. Climate action environment, you're clearly one of the nation's leaders in climate action, and you're purposely using climate action, not climate change. Your climate action plan was recently updated, as well as your energy and climate plan for the town. So the goals of reducing greenhouse gas emissions, not only for the town's activities, for the community, for residents, for businesses, and to support low income and small businesses to be able to take advantage of those programs. Transportation and infrastructure, one of the few towns in the country that offers free frequent transit service, Chapel Hill Transit, and really thinking about, can you walk, can you bike anywhere in Carrboro? And our sidewalks connected. These are long-term challenges. If you look at your capital plan, you're putting your money where your mouth is, and you're really trying to improve those sidewalk connections, build out the greenways, and provide different, making it easy to take the bus, cross the street, and all those things, so that people have choices whether they choose to drive, whether they take the bus, walk, or bike. Recreation, parks, and cultural resources. This is just one part of them. Okay, Junior Park, that was the result of a very extensive community input process. And, you know, I spent some time out there. It's all the different types of uses all going on at the same time. The entire park was crowded, from the mountain bike to the baseball to the community garden and everything in between. So the goal here is to have parks within a 15-minute walk throughout Carrboro, and looking at additional opportunities. A lot of this is governed by land use and the land use ordinance. So really thinking about how to bring that up to date to serve the needs, the values of the community, to make sure there's room for affordable housing and for locally owned businesses and for open space and natural resources. So you have a very diverse set of land uses across the town, and really we want this plan to support that, to support all the needs of the community. And finally, all of this is implemented through public services and the various departments of the town, whether it's communications, finance, fire and rescue, information technology, planning, police, public works, town clerk, and of course the town manager, bringing this all together. In addition, a lot of this plan is about partnerships with other agencies, whether those are locally homegrown nonprofits like the Art Center or El Centro, or there are other government agencies like OWASA, Orange County, was already mentioned by Teresa, working with the universities nearby. So this plan is really about the entire community to work together. So that was a quick overview. We're gonna have a lot more time to talk through those as you choose your breakout sessions. And with that, I'm gonna turn it over to Ben to explain how we're gonna break out.
Thanks, Scott. Did you want to touch on this last slide before we go to breakout?
Sure, I can go through these. So what we're trying to do in the breakouts is you're gonna, the facilitator will go through just 2 or 3 slides highlighting some of the strategies and projects that have been identified in the draft plan. And as you hear those, there's also some of you may have already taken a look at the full plan. It is 196 pages, so we're trying to give the highlights today. But as you start to hear about these projects in your review, there's 3 questions we'd like you to think about. Is what projects do you think would have the most positive impact? And by positive impact, we mean things that will help the community, provide access to the community so that everyone can participate in the activities. why are there possible partners who can help lead the projects? Is this a project that you want to get involved in, or are you involved in a group that would like to help lead or partner in the project? And then, of course, how do these projects advance race and equity and climate action goals? So what we're trying to do is find projects that meet multiple objectives. So as you go through a discussion, listen to the projects, suggest your own projects. They may be in the plan, maybe they're not yet, but that's what we'd like you to do in the breakouts over the next 45 minutes or so.
Welcome back, everyone. We'll give folks just a couple of moments to return from their breakout rooms. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Just a reminder, if you need Spanish interpretation, you may have to reselect it down at the bottom there under the interpretation tab.
Okay, it looks like most of us are back. Wonderful. I hope your conversation was rich. We have been recording what was going on in each individual session, so we're glad that we were able to capture all of that. Unfortunately, we won't have time to hear all of what went on in those sessions. So we're going to ask the facilitator or note taker from each of the sessions to give us a takeaway, a main idea, a key idea, something that just really struck you in your small groups. So why don't we just go in this order? We'll start with excuse me, climate action and environment, transportation and infrastructure, followed by affordable housing and economic sustainability. Third, we'll hear from recreation, parks and culture resources, and land use and public services and communications will bring up the rear.
Thank you, Teresa. So I want to thank you all for who joined us in the climate action and the transportation infrastructure chapter. Couple of main points in the climate action chapter. There was a desire for more explicit projects on a heat island effect, and also talking about microgrids because there seems to be a statewide movement towards making interpreting the state law on microgrids to be legal as opposed to illegal. And then for transportation infrastructure, there was a comment about unbundling parking from affordable housing, so that there are some more options there, as well as a lot of focus on making sure that bike transportation is clearly networked and doesn't just stop off at certain streets, especially in main streets, and also that there's definitely safe routes to schools.
Great, thank you. All right, affordable housing and economic sustainability, you're up next.
So I think there was a theme of people first in our group, whether it was talking about affordable housing or economic sustainability. For people, we heard about renters, particularly Latino and other immigrants, and assistance with rent, in terms of workers being able to afford housing, in terms of connecting workers to jobs, whether those jobs are in Carrboro, do they have the training for those jobs, or outside of Carrboro. And then finally, for small businesses, helping them with permits. So really thinking beyond the traditional comprehensive plan of people first focus to our recommendations.
Thank you. All right, what are some of the takeaways from recreation, parks and cultural resources, Francie?
All right, thank you to my group. We had a good time talking about the parks and programs. I guess a theme we talked about was the interconnections. We talked about a lot of linkages with transportation and parks. So that was one big takeaway. We had a chance to mark up some of the specific park maps that we would have had in person, been able to use a marker and sticky notes on, but we did our best to adapt and got some comments there. And then one new idea that was brought up, because we still want to keep hearing new ideas too, was about a potential for in the long term to convert the railroad tracks into a trail, which is known as a rails to trail conversion. So that was a great comment, and thank you to my group.
Thank you. And Benito is going to share the land use and public services and communications breakout group.
Thanks, Teresa. And thank you to those who stuck around in the land use and public services communications group chapters. So a couple of the things that we heard were expanding housing opportunities, specifically incorporating workforce housing in the town, integrating green space to help mitigate heat island effects. Also start thinking about how to incorporate trees to also help mitigate the heat island effect. Other concerns were, ensuring that as developers, build in Carrboro to make sure they line up with the values of residents, making sure that the implementation chapter is going to be descriptive enough to have practical action items and not just a list of things with no direction. What kinds of change can be incorporated into the land use ordinance, and what policies can be pursued. And then as far as the public services communications, effective IT and planning to collaborate effectively, and an expansion of broadband for the town.
Thank you for those wonderfully succinct reports. Good information. Thank you so much for sharing your head and your heart with regard to the draft that you in every chapter there. Thank you so much. We're going to segue into a discussion of next steps, and Trish is up next.
Thank you again, Teresa. It's fun to follow you. First, I just want to give everybody a round of applause, really as my appreciation, and I hope you all feel that for each other too, for your thoughtfulness and your attention. Continuing, if you're new to this process, for joining in now, for having been here, if you've been here along the way, it's really great to be walking along this path with you and seeing where it will lead. So yes, thank you so much. Just first thing I want to mention is that we obviously have just touched this. We just had a little appetizer tonight in terms of the topics and themes and information that's in this plan already. So we hope that you will continue to share comments. For those of you who are part of the task force or advisory boards, there'll be opportunities for you to have those discussions. For the community, we've got a little plug on the website, a little place where you can just make comments, as many as you would like. And we really appreciate and look forward to your doing that. Yes, Francie just put in the chat the link to that particular spot. It'll be on the front page of the website as of tomorrow, so it'll be easy to find. A little easier than it is right at the moment, but right now, if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll find it there. So thanks for the instructions for that, Francie. So we do have, as I said, the task force is meeting tomorrow night, and they'll be talking about this preliminary draft plan. We've advisory boards. We'll be looking at it in October. We'll be bringing together that feedback and those comments that we're building this plan together. A revised draft will be available and presented at the public hearing, which is scheduled for November 16th. I'm sorry, we do have a town council work session scheduled as well, as you can see here, for October 5th. So they'll be doing a deep dive on the plan as like everyone else, hopefully. So we are looking forward to seeing the plan move forward. We're expecting that there'll be feedback and discussion and working towards adoption in hopefully the spring. So with that, I want to just thank you again for being here tonight, and hoping that you're in a safe place and that you will make it home safely. And I know that we're going to put in the chat, if you have one word for closeout, how you're feeling right now, and you'd like to share it, we'd love to hear it. Thanks so much.
Thanks, everyone.